Hey guys, today I'm gonna talk about my little 150, well technically 1144 to 1160 scale vehicles. So, in the model railroading world, 1160 is considered N scale. So I'm just gonna call it N scale just for ease of use. I just picked these up, because I thought they were pretty cool and because I've been purchasing some 164 scale Tomica limited vintage cars. A lot of these cars are actually made by the same company. So everything in this brown box actually is made by Tomy Tech. They're called this Tomica, same company, just different brand name, I guess. That'll probably be a different video. So I'm gonna start with just the non Tomy brands here: FToys fire trucks, some unbranded stuff, some European models, and we'll try to get through this pretty quick here. This is my kind of makeshift studio here. I'm not a professional YouTuber. I'm just kind of stuck indoors because of this whole COVID thing. I thought I'd just put up some videos of stuff. So here's a scale reference. On the right side, we have a Kyosho Mini Z, which is 128 scale. This gray Skyline, the large car. The one next to that is a 143rd scale Kyosho, and that's called a part of the D Nano line. Both of these are actually remote controlled vehicles. So, this one's been banged up from drifting. I set it up as a drift car. This is actually an all-wheel drive vehicle. Really good detail. I mean, Kyosho doesn't mess around as far as their detail goes. But anyways, and then a while ago they had this D Nano line, 143rd scale. This is RC as well, but they think it's been discontinued. Anyways, and then I think a lot of us are familiar with the Hot Wheels. Well, technically those aren't really to scale, but 164 scale cars like this. That's a Skyline as well. And now, so 1160 or 1150 scale is this vehicle here. So anyways, Tomy Tech, they're calling all their vehicles 1150 scale. And I believe it's probably true because we know Tomica Limited Vintage are true to scale. So, and if you look at all these vehicles, they vary in size considerably. So I think they actually are 1150 scale. Anyways, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to start with the non-Tomy stuff. So let's see here. What we have here is a die-cast vehicle from a brand called IMU. And so this little guy, hopefully you can see, it says IMU there. Can't miss that brand. So I think a large part with why not many people do videos of such a small scale is the fact that they're so small. It's hard to actually focus on this stuff. But this guy's actually die cast. There's no windshield or anything like that, but I think it looks pretty cool. Okay, a couple more. This is an IMU as well. I think that's a Volvo. I think a P44. This is unbranded, but it's a die-cast Mini. Okay, so that's it for the little die-cast. And you can go to model train websites and look up vehicles in the N scale, or 1150 scale, or to 1160 scale. Here are a few non-branded vehicles. I can't remember where I got them, to be honest with you, but they're okay. Just some box fans here. But, they're not very detailed compared to the Tomy Tech ones. So I will do a little comparison, So here's a Tomy Tech versus those. Tomy actually prints graphics on there, So door handle graphics, where this is just one flat color. Although you do get the painted on tail lights and painted on headlights. But here's another comparison here. I mean, Tomy is not messing around. The detail of it is just fantastic. So anyways, alright, so let me get those out of the way. Let's continue on. There's a brand called Kato, and they put out these cars here. I'm guessing they're Mazdas. Older 1990s, early 2000 Mazdas, maybe in the early 2000s. But honestly, I don't know. but that's them. They come 4 in a set, so they're okay. I mean, the panel lines you can see on the sunroof here, the panel lines, but no details as far as badging goes. You know, no branding or anything like that. Okay, here's some other Katos. These are Toyota Hiace or Hiace vans. I think it's actually pronounced Hiace. At least it's spelled H-I and then a capital A-C-E. But I'm not really fluent in Japanese, so I don't know. Anyways, yeah, you get some graphics on this one, so that's kind of nice. And it is a Kato there. So, anyways, so obviously the larger, oh, you can see a green license plate there on that. This one, these actually have license plate graphics and a Toyota graphic. Didn't notice that before. So obviously being a bigger vehicle, it's easier to print on. Or maybe this came out later. You know, I bought these several years ago. I actually use these as vehicle backdrops from a 1/200 scale airplane diecast. So they're quite off as far as scale goes, because this is actually a 1/200 scale fuel truck. It's made by a company called Gulliver, and it's quite nice, quite detailed. Whereas, you know, 1/150 scale, you know, there's no way that Toyota Hiace is going to be that large in real life compared to a fuel truck. So, but there aren't many choices as far as true to scale 1/200s. So I have to use the N scale vehicles for that. Another brand I'm just going to throw in there because they're similar in size. Herpa, or Herpa. It's a German brand. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I'm not German. But they have these. They advertise these as 1/160 scale. This is a B class, Mercedes B class. And they're all B. These larger ones are B classes. Just one's a police, one's a fire, and one's some sort of airport emergency vehicle. I love these little smart cars. So pretty nice for something so small, right? Just for more scale reference, you know, here's a pen. So, you know, when you're working with plastic resin, you can get a lot of detail much better than die cast. That's just the nature of the material. So I'm a big fan of resin vehicles. Also die cast cars, you have that zinc rot where I believe it bubbles the paint because zinc isn't a very stable metal, and a lot of times it's not primed properly. Whereas resin, you know, it doesn't have those issues. But you know, I guess resin and plastics have different issues. Anyways, these 3 cars. It just says MB Transport, Mercedes VW 1300, made in Germany, but there's no actually brand on here. I can't remember what brand these are. They're from the model railroading sector of, maybe they're Ritzy or something. I don't know, to be honest with you. I actually went on and took some markers, paint markers, silver paint marker, and I actually hit the headlights and some red to hit the taillights. You know, if you buy it from a shop or stock online, they're just going to be green. They'll have the printing and such, but the taillights won't be colored. But if you're really precise, have some good glasses, magnifying glasses, and some really thin-tipped markers, like this is just a silver Sharpie tip. Does a good job. Blue windows, not sure why. I guess hide the inside a little bit better. These are also from the hobby train world, and this actually does say Wiking. Could be Viking. Again, I'm not German, but I know it's a German brand because Wiking or Viking does a lot of stuff in that field. But obviously very basic. I have a suspicion these must have been designed back in the 70s or 80s. The toys, not the vehicle. I mean, this is so basic looking, but what I had to get this. I mean, it's a Mercedes 300 SL. I gotta say though, they look to scale because 300 SL is a pretty small car in reality. I've seen them in person before, whereas a Rolls Royce, even in the, that age or time frame, is a pretty big vehicle. So, in general, I think German brands, they're pretty good with scale. You know, basically, any company that deals with model railroading is true to scale, because model railroaders are all about, you know, accuracy and stuff like that. So I think I hit these with some paint markers as well, like the little red there. I hit it with silver first and then red after. Silver Sharpie for the headlights, that kind of stuff. Alright, so those are really old. I'm guessing they're from the decades ago, but I found them on eBay, pretty cheap. Why not? You know, I can't recall where these, I think it's FToys. There's no brand on the bottom of this, but I have a suspicion FToys made these, because they made all the fire trucks and they're of similar quality and detail. They come in those little cardboard boxes like Kyosho's, and they're blind box, kind of like you just kind of buy a few and you pray that you get the vehicle that you're looking for. Anyways, the printing on them is pretty nice. Pretty good detail as far as I'm concerned. Not particularly expensive. So, yeah, pretty nice. And again, they seem to scale. You know, they're clearly not the same size like a Hot Wheels or a Matchbox would be. Okay, here's another German brand. This is a Wiking or Viking as well. A fire truck. Pretty nice. I did not marker any of this. This came painted that way, printed with the Tampo graphics that way. Again, it's because it's for the N scale railroading. They're all about detail there. So I thought this was a really cool vehicle. Alright, just for comparison, right, next to a Beetle. Yeah, this brand seems to keep everything true to scale. And amazing, I mean, look at the ridges in that panel there, because it's resin. Just such high detail. Okay, so FToys, you know, back to this, but now we're talking all fire trucks. I guess I'll start with the small one, an old classic one. Now a more modern one. It's weird the cab moved, I'm not sure why. I think, you know, as time goes on with manufacturing technologies, things are getting better. I mean, look at the printing of the, you know, vehicle logo, the license plates, the tail lights. These emergency lights on the hoods are actually clear plastic. Gives some translucency. You know, some parts aren't so great, like this rope or hose. I guess those would be fire hoses bunched up. It looks very toy-like. But, you know, if you look at the actual nozzle there, it's pretty thin, quite impressive. Right? These weren't particularly expensive to my recollection. A different piece here for the hose on the side. There's a separate piece for the ladder. Separate piece for a hose on this side. This variant has ladders on the side, hose on the side. Yeah, impressive. Alright, so slightly more modern fire trucks from the same brand. FToys again. All these red fire trucks, these latter red fire trucks from FToys, come from this collection called the Working Fire Vehicles number 2, I believe it was called. Yeah, so I can't read Japanese, so all I know is this is an MVF. Whatever MVF is an acronym for, not really sure. But anyways, you'll notice there's actually mirrors on this one. I think they snapped off. I broke it up by accident. It's actually in this box. So that's the mirror for that. But anyways, I mean, this thing has mirrors and it's so small. This little, okay, I don't know what these called. It's a boom, I suppose it's called. You can pivot the boom. Well, in that case it fell off, but these panels I've took off. So you can actually have a side panel go on. Let's try to get this on here off camera. Oh, it's fidgety. Or it's the wrong side. My bad. It's the wrong side of the vehicle. So there's actually a side panel here that I put on, and on this side I took it off. So it's pretty impressive, you know. Let's see. There's the other side panel that's supposed to cover the other side, and there's the boom, and this thing pivots. Well, this actually extends. It's telescopic, right? And then this actually is supposed to pivot on this. I'll get that one out of the way. This variation, you can see the boom more recessed. There's printing on the top. There's texturing, you know, on that diamond plate steel it's supposed to represent. Let's see here if I can get this boom out. Yeah, again, so the boom will move. There's a little pin there. And will it spin? Yes, the boom would spin as well. So again, this one I left the panels on, you know, the printed panel here. If I had a pen of some sort. Oh, look at this. It's not even glued down, but there's actually some seats here in the interior. Let's see if I can find a... Not sure if I can get this thing off with this tool. Might be a reason why this panel's on. The axle came out there. Perhaps I'm supposed to glue these together. Well, sorry. In the interest of time, I'm not going to get into that right now. Okay, so then they have this ladder truck. I mean, we got to remember, this thing is small. Look at my fingers. 1/150? Yeah. FToys is claiming this is 1/150 scale. So a little bit bigger than the Herpa ones, which are 160. And then I believe, yep. How cool is that, right? The ladder actually extends. And again, I mean, for reference, this is a pen. Alright. Slide that back. Is it going to spin? Yes. So that spins and pivots. There's a license plate printed on taillights. There's a separate hose on the side, separate hose piece. Translucent red lights on the hood, the roof. You know, let's see here. Yeah, I think maybe that's a Hino. You can see the crest of the car brand. There's actually a license plate number, a Japanese number. The headlights are recessed and painted silver. There's some fog lights painted yellow. The windshield wipers are painted silver. That's pretty impressive. I'll be honest with you guys, I just bought these, threw them in the case with my die-cast airplanes, and didn't really think much of it, you know. I just thought they were cool accessories to my die-cast airplanes. So, alright, the last one in the set is called a MAF-60A, which is this thing. It's pretty much like an airport fire truck. So it's huge. I mean, compared to that first classic fire truck, it's like twice the length, much taller, right? Compared to a regular sized car or a smart car, slightly high scale, but still, it's a big vehicle, right? So anyways, we got a separate piece for the ladder up there, separate... No, that black hose is just painted on there. The nozzle here, tiny nozzle in the front there. Painted headlights, painted license plate there. I'm sure I didn't glue this together. Yeah, some seats in there. Not much, no real detail. A little steering wheel, but you know, you can't expect the world for something that comes in a blind box toy. Little numbers there, license plate. So anyways, FToys made these fire trucks. And I apologize, looking at the internet here, this is not part of that set. But anyways, if you're interested, I guess just do a search for FToys fire trucks and see what comes up. I think this is my favorite one. Cool. Alright, so I think that'll be it for this video. Well, actually, 2 more random non-brands that are not Tomy. When I was a kid, I bought this Micro Machines. Micro Machines Gravedigger. Anyways, I have a suspicion this is in the same scale, because if we look at this box fan, which is from the model railroading world, they're fairly similar in size. Anyways, Gravedigger. That thing's cool. And then the last 2 things are 144 scale tanks. I used to have like 150, over 100 of these things. A couple brands: Dragon, Can Do, World Tank Museum. Those are the 3 brands I recall. And I don't know, they're pretty inexpensive, maybe $5 at the time. This was probably like 10, 15 years ago that I had all of them, and I sold most of them off. I only kept this one because this is Michael Wittman's tank. He's the leading tank ace of all time. He took out more tanks than anyone else in history. And for some reason I just acquired this Leopard 2, I think it is. So I have an old and a newer tank. Anyways, pretty decent detail, you know, for something that's so small. There's even a number on the bottom of that tank. ID number, some headlights, taillights painted on. Let's see about the... Yeah, you got the SO4 number of Wittman's tank. A little decal, or it's not a slide decal, yeah, of the German emblem. The shovel on the front is actually painted. You can see the wooden handle. And most importantly, the stripes here on the turret are supposed to represent how many tanks this guy took out. So, anyways, you might be wondering if the turret turns. Yes, it does. It's kind of a softer plastic, it seems like, except for the treads feel like a brittle plastic. Anyways, if you look up 144 scale tanks or 144 scale armor, there's a ton of places to buy this sort of stuff. And they had some really cool ones, like really large ones, like large train cannons, and you could go pretty deep as far as collecting 144 scale armor. Alright, so that's it for this. Alright, take care, guys.